So today I'm going to talk about a funny epic story about Death Crew because that's the one I keep coming back to. Eventually I'll talk about the other campaign that I had for a fair amount of time. It's just that one, the stories are a bit harder to pin down. I don't remember them as well because they were a while ago. While Death Crew is still pretty fresh in my head, and I recorded them, so I've rewatched them every now and then. But today I'm going to talk about how an accidental improv moment turned into how I created the end boss of the campaign. So basically, if you remember, in one of the previous videos, the Death Crew had run into a man named Arthur Sin. They had fought him in his house. He was in a wheelchair, but he was psionically based. He was able to move as if he was perfectly fine. He could make the wheelchair levitate and all that. And they fought him, and he escaped. So basically, they tracked him down to a city called Osla, which was like this place of debauchery and, what's the word? Copious amounts of sex and drugs. And this is where he had fled to. And they needed to get to him. So there was a worldwide journey from Dextros to Osla. And they get there, and they're starting to track him down. They find him in a brothel owned by his older sister. I'm just summarizing this because I have to get to the main part of the story. But this is funny in its own right. Basically, they get there, and Octavian disguises himself. I can't recall what he did as, and he's talking to the madam, the man's sister. And she's got a creature with her called a leech hound, which is basically a guard drake that I homebrewed into basically a giant worm with legs and like a leech mouth. And he was talking with the sister about where this guy was, and she wasn't giving up the information. So I believe he used Dominate Monster or something to that effect, and told the leech hound to find and attack the brother. What the player knew but the character didn't know was the other two, Mars and Hugo, played by Lee and Dave, had found Arthur Sin in the basement, and they were currently sneaking up on him. And then all of a sudden, this fucking leech hound comes out of nowhere, bounds down the stairs, and starts fighting Arthur Sin. So they jump in and start fighting him too. And this time, the fight goes very much in their favor, and they defeat him. They turn him into paste. And they kill him. But they gathered some information in the room, I believe. I don't remember how this came to be, but they discovered that he was named Arthur Sin as a title given to members of Iron Solutions in each city. So basically, each city had an Arthur Sin. And they were like, oh shit, that means this gang isn't done. There's more. So they start looking through Oslo. They're like, okay, well, maybe, there's got to be one here. I think they figured this out because when they were talking to the sister, she mentioned how the other Arthur Sin didn't like this one, the one they just killed, encroaching on his territory. So they were after him, and she thought they were the bad, all that. So they start tracking down this other Arthur Sin, and it's at this point that they find him in the warehouse district. And Octavian, Connor, decides, okay, I'm going to go as Polly Darton again, as a real estate agent, and try and get into this warehouse. So she starts pretending to sell the property to, I believe it was Mars and Hugo. And of course, the Arthur Sin of this gang network of Osla is confronting her, and he's like half-hearted. He's buying it. He believes she's a realtor. Polly Darton Octavian rolled high enough that he fell for it. But at one point, a bear is there with him. And I was originally going to be him. It was going to be Arthur Sin and the bear. And of course, Octavian decides, I'm going to try. I think he tried to telepathically tell the bear to buzz off. And I decided, okay, well, then the bear is going to reply, fuck you, something to that effect. What I didn't know was that the telepathy feat is only one way. As in, if Octavian tells someone something in telepathy, he can't hear their thoughts back. They can hear him, but he can't hear them. And that caused a problem when immediately he's like, oh shit, this bear's got psionics. And I realized immediately my heart sank. I'm like, oh crap, I just messed up. But I was like, you know what? No, I can work with this. So the bear had psionics. And basically they left and they came back at night, snuck in. I think they had another player with them. Somebody, I can't remember his name, but it was a 4-man team. It was someone who I think only played 1 or 2 sessions with us, and I genuinely cannot remember his name. I think he left the group after that. But he was there, and they basically broke in, started fighting. They defeated Arthur Sin, and if I recall, Octavian used the spell, I believe it's Dance Macabre, MACBRE, I think, the one that makes other people dance. And he used that on the gang members, the low-level ones. So as the other 3 players are fighting Arthur Sin, he's basically tending to keep the masses in line so they won't attack and make the fight harder. But they defeat Arthur Sin, and it's at this point I decide, you know what? That bear is going to be more than just a bear. So they kill the bear, and then I say how it like twists and deforms and how its head suddenly pops, and now they're fighting a floating brain. And then that became the boss, and they're fighting that. They kill it, and then they interrogate Arthur Sin's corpse, because I believe they use Speak with the Dead. Either that or they hadn't killed him, they had like incapacitated him. But they talk with him, he's like, yeah, the bear was a gift from the higher-ups. And at that point I decided, okay, Iron Solutions is going to be more eldritch in nature, rather than just being a standard gang. And this is where most of this is where the campaign really took a turn for the better. Because of the simple improv moment, the simple mistake on my part where I said the bear talks back. If I hadn't done this, who knows where the campaign would have gone. Like, they probably still would have beat Iron Solutions, but I wouldn't have made it eldritch. I wouldn't, because they started tying in with mind flayers. They started fighting those. They started getting more and more in depth in getting to Arthur Sins. Like, they started taking them out one by one, tracking down the actual leader of the gang. Which I'll tell another story. I don't want to jump around too much. I don't want to spoil it for a video that I could make later. But basically, they fought Arthur Sin. Fought his bear. His bear turned into an eldritch monster, and the campaign got better. And oh, my mouse just went over there. And I guess that's all I've got for today, And I just want to say thank you, because I've noticed a lot of people are watching these videos, and I just want to say thank you for that.